today also, just like your debt collection agencies are collecting a percentage of debt, even loan agents take like a percentage of loan if the disbursement sort of happens to them. So it's like your model inverse can also be a business model. Whether you want to do it or not, that's a separate thing. It's just some
Well,
idea that came
yeah,
to me, right? Yeah.
yeah, this still
We
wrapping my
never
mind.
thought about it, right?
We never thought about it because I was actually thinking more on the lines of qualifying a good lead. How much do we know about
Yeah.
it? Like, if you're passing on a lead to a bank, essentially, you're telling that person that based on what I'm saying, you go and disburse loan to this particular person. We could
What Sudarshan is trying to say is like, don't even
interest,
go to that step. He said that just get them 10,000 books and they'll do
just
underwriting.
generate interest.
Yeah.
So that's the part I'm still thinking about.
So we used to work with a bank, and they used to give us like on this is not even like loan. This is just credit card disbursement. Every card they will give us like 2,000 rupees for the card that is disbursed, and like completely automated self-serve. We don't do anything. So we had this product, and some percentage of users were also getting the credit card, and so we used to get paid. And even with loans, like it was, you give them leads, per lead only they will pay you. If the disbursement happens, the payment is even more. But even if the lead sort of is decent, if they see that, okay, out of 100 leads, 10 leads are buying, they are okay to pay you per lead also. So it's a interesting thing. But I think anyways, I think this, I leave this tangent up to you guys to think. Uh, coming back to the debt agency model that you are building. So you said this is not SaaS. Your bigger aim is to, today you're gonna, your I think your first milestone is to buy a loan book, and you're saying you're figuring out the regulatory requirements for that. If it is an NBFC license, then what will it take to, what was the AU finance playbook like? How did they get the NBFC? Do you have a understanding?
So we didn't go much deep into like how did they become NBFC, but we know for a fact that okay, how you can go from a NBFC to small finance bank and like from small finance bank to a bank.
What does that journey look like?
So if you want to become a small finance bank, so RBI you can go and like read up on their regulation. So there's a PSL called private priority sector lending, wherein you have to lend to a particular sector aggressively. So they set benchmark of let's say 50% or 75% of your portfolio should be lent to this particular segment. Secondly, 50% of your loan should lie below 25 lakh rupees. So like I'm not like sure about the exact numbers over here, but these are the
Got
benchmarks
it.
that RBI set for a SFB like small finance bank. And then similarly goes like if you're a small finance bank and you want to
You
become a
can bank.
bank, then again you have certain benchmarks that you should have like gross NPA should be lower
Hmm.
than 3%, and then
Hmm.
you should
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
profitable for last 2 years. You should be a listed firm. So all of those regulatory requirements are there.
So yeah, I mean, okay, interesting. Your
It's a
ambitions are
13,
quite big.
14 year long journey, like to be
It's a
honest.
mountain to climb.
Yeah. So to give you a
So
perspective,
you
yeah.
guys are gonna be the probably the I don't know, first IITian bankers, first sort of tech bankers in the,
I've done this many.
who has done this?
I don't know, but we've never
We would
done
love
the
to be
research.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you'll be first something in the banking industry, because I don't know anyone who's come from like this non-banking background. And I think kudos to thinking that big. I never got into this call thinking I'll be talking to a future bank, so that's very interesting. And I think the question I had was that okay, today you're saying that you start at the debt collection thing. What makes you smarter than other agencies? What is the wedge that you are sort of looking to create today?
So which changes from type of portfolio and like age of the loan book. So let's say if you are resolving a like very early stage loan, let's say people defaulted just yesterday, day before yesterday, or like last 15 days, then AI becomes helpful for following up with the people that okay,
Hmm.
boss, your like loan is due for last 15 days. Can you please pay back the debt? And that's when you have to master the art of conversion of AI voices and convincing people.
Hmm.
But when like the cases that we are focusing on are like NP cases, like the people who don't pay for last 3 months, like 90 days have
Okay.
been passed. In this case, like people have already made up their mind of not paying, and like there are bad situation, bad times. that these people go through. So over here, AI's wage is not to convince people and pay back the debt, but it's to qualify leads. Out of 20,000, 30,000 cases that you throw at me, okay, these are the defaulters, can how much we can get out of it. Our AI calling and like WhatsApp, Ankit can tell more about WhatsApp later, is just to like go through all of these cases and figure out what are the like 200 odd cases who actually want to settle the loan or pay back the debt and like want to get out of this debt trap. So
Hmm.
that's the vision. Now our job is to basically on those 200 like constantly follow up and like run our engine to figure out can we actually get the money from them or not.
Hmm.
As compared to a traditional collection agency who will just sort the list on like outstanding amount and like call one by one, whoever picks up they'll shout, yell, and try to get the money. So that's how it's been done traditionally. I think this is a more strategic way of, let's say, building a funnel of like how much you can collect the money and then just following up at the appropriate time.
Yeah, so Darshan, the key is actually how can you personalize for every defaulter at scale? So, for example, right now, the way a collection agency works is that an agent will sit in a call center. They'll dial a lot of people. You can say that they dial 120 people, 150 people, and depending on what portfolio it is, you can expect that they end up speaking with 20 to 40 people. Now, the way that the entire model works is that the agent is under so much incentive and pressure that they end up using force as a lever to convince the opposite person to pay the money back. And what we're realizing as we deploy more and more of these agents and we study these defaulters, we're able to see that how for different kinds of people you can enable them to repay the debt, which in a lot of cases they really want to. But sometimes they need more time. Sometimes they need just a waiver on a particular penalty that they were charged for, and they really are very conscious about clearing their credit because they also understand what it impacts. And there is also a bit in education also around these defaulters where they need to understand what they're being charged for, how this will impact their future. And that is somewhere where we do it very differently from a collection agency, where we say, okay, we are not going to use some level of force or all of these threats that these folks use. We're actually going to sit, understand, figure out what is the best plan for you to come out of that. Now that may be a AI WhatsApp agent who pings you right now, understands you have this much money, your salary is this much, you'll be able to pay this much right now, this much after 30 days. You might receive a call in your local language where a person talks to you and understands your problem. And as time passes, more and more things that we used to do a lot of these WhatsApp messages manually. We used to make calls. We see flows in collections which can be automated, which personalize the experience for the end defaulter. And that is how, just by using technology, you keep getting better and better as you learn more from the nature of these defaulters. So that's how we differ from the current collection agency model.
Just to paint a like very good picture about like how this is operating. So I was placing calls for like 5 days straight, and the loan portfolio that I was working upon was like blue collar workers. So actually, like the calls that I got connected, these people actually cried on the call, say that they want to actually pay the debt, but they are not able to pay. And statistically speaking, like the amount these people are being asked for to pay out as like one time settlement thing is 60% of their salary. Now these people have average salary of 22,000 to 23,000, and a collection calling agent is asking them to pay 12,000 upfront over a call. That's not practically possible for anyone. And secondly, these blue collar workers are working in sari shops, factories, workshops, wherein they have to submit their phone to security guard the moment they enter the shop, right? And they can take only during lunch break or specific time. So it's not that they're running away after from the loan. It's just the practical way of communication, appropriate time of communication, appropriate debt restriction that's not in place to basically collect. There's intent from like lender also to give some settlement discount to borrower so that they can pay. Borrower also wants to pay back the debt because no one wants like to listen calls and abuses all the time. But there's a gap between how this can be orchestrated.
Hmm. Interesting, very interesting. And so, have you had some success in this? So I understand. See, I guess when you go to someone who owes you money and you empathize with him, he'll obviously respond very, very positively. And what you mentioned about, hey, I'll be a little more lenient to you. You don't have to pay right now. You can pay a little later. Obviously, people would like to pay as later as possible, right? So how do you sort of balance the structure of sort of empathy and I need to finally get the money and put it back in my books so that I make money. How do you do that? And have you maybe built up a hypothesis, maybe first tested this on a small cohort, let's say without AI, just manually just trying to reach out to these guys, seen some success, and then said, okay, Now let's automate this at a larger scale and see what's your journey of learning this
So
been like.
this were like our weeks, like last 2 to 3 weeks. So we were working on a NPA portfolio, like NPA portfolio unsecured personal loan. Average ticket size was around 15 to 20,000 rupees of loan. So we placed these calls and we certainly figured we were able to recover around 90,000 rupees so far in this journey, given that like none of us have like collection experience, right? And like just empathetically following up with people actually yield those results. So that builds some level of conviction. I can actually, without raising a voice single time during all those 6 days, I was able to collect money. People are remembering my name, they're saving my contact, and they call when they get free. Is some level of conviction we were having. But of course, you need to have like more like defined set and data set to basically build upon that hypothesis. So I spoke with collection head of that particular company and told her that, ma'am, like, do you actually believe that we can collect debt being polite? She said
Mm,
that one of the most performing, like good performing agents that we have right now are like the one who like talk politely and like engage with people, because you can't force money out of someone at that stage. It's just you have to convince, show them the benefit, like help with them and consult them to get the money back. Like that, that's the thesis we have.
Interesting.
And even
Interesting.
if you look
And
at best performing agents in a lot of consumer fintechs and you observe the way that they talk, negotiate, it's like he said, it's more of a consultation where you really want the person to come out of a place of debt gone bad to them repaying and having a good overall credit history moving forward. And you will even
mm,
see RBI coming heavily on the level of regulations that it'll put on the way you speak in these calls as well. Because
mm,
that is what will eventually play well for the defaulters as well. Like they are not continuously being threatened the way that
mm,
the previous version of call centers used to run.
Yeah. So to paint the
interesting.
picture over here, like how existing collection is look like a Vasuli Bhai coming with a gold chain and a black kurta with a tika on top of his head, like abusing and harassing people. We want to build a collection agent that's like someone who's actually consulting and making sure
Yeah.
that people get out of the debt trap, like restructuring the plans and understanding the problem. That's the way we want to reshape the how collection actually works and set benchmark for the industry.